Hi everybody, I can't be here today, so here's an ed puzzle instead. Today we're going to be learning about deductive reasoning, which is divided into two things, the law of detachment and the law of syllogism. Firstly, the law of detachment. Now, from its name, you might think that the law of detachment is about detaching things. But no, it's actually about making a conclusion from two separate statements. In this case, we've got an example here. If it's Tuesday, then we are in Belgium, and it is Tuesday. If both of those statements are true, what can we conclude from both of them together? Think about that for a second. And I hope that you concluded that we are in Belgium. An if-then statement includes the hypothesis and the conclusion. The hypothesis is the conditional part. If that condition is shown to be true right now, then that means that the conclusion must be true right now. And that's what the law of detachment says. Let's try a different one. In this case, we've got, if there is lightning, then it is not safe to be out in the open. And Marla sees lightning from the soccer field. So if lightning, then it's not safe, and Marla sees some lightning. What conclusion should you reach? I hope that you concluded something along the lines of Marla isn't safe. If there's lightning, then it's not safe. And Marla has seen some lightning. Therefore, it's not safe. How about this second one? If a figure is a square, then its sides have equal length. Figure ABCD has sides of equal length. What, if anything, can you conclude about this situation? I'll bet you said ABCD is a square. But if you said that, that's incorrect. Why? How could that be incorrect? Well, here the hypothesis is that it's a square, and the conclusion is the sides have equal length. And then this second statement says that this shape has sides of equal length. Instead of confirming the hypothesis, it's confirming the conclusion, which means that we can conclude nothing. That's why I always try to say, what, if anything, can you conclude? Because sometimes the answer is you can't conclude anything. In this particular case, we can even say that ABCD could be a different kind of shape that also has sides of equal length but isn't necessarily a square. In this case, it could be a rhombus. So, pressing on, the law of syllogism. This one involves two if-then statements. In this case, first we've got, if it is July, then you're on summer vacation. And if you're on summer vacation, then you work at a smoothie shop, possibly a Jamba Juice. And the conclusion that we reach as a result of this is, if it's July, then you work at the smoothie shop. We've gotten rid of the summer vacation part completely, because the conclusion of one statement is the same as the hypothesis of the other. So, when we find a situation where we have two if-then statements and the conclusion of one of them is the same as the hypothesis of the other, then we can cancel out those matching parts. How about this first one? If you are an emu, then you are a bird. If you are a bird, then you have feathers. What do you think you could conclude from that? Well, here our hypothesis is you're an emu, and the conclusion is you're a bird. But then in this statement, the hypothesis is you're a bird, and the conclusion is you have feathers. Since the hypothesis of one is the same as the conclusion of the other, we can combine the two of them together, saying if you're an emu, then you have feathers. So I hope that's what you said. Even if it's not, let's try another one. If a video game is Geometry Dash, then it is very difficult. If a video game is Dark Souls, then it is very difficult. What, if anything, can we conclude from the given information? The trick is this time, it's, oh, that's the wrong thing. It's nothing again. That's right. The law of syllogism questions can also have nothing as their answer. Why is it nothing this time? Well, this time we're saying something is Geometry Dash as a hypothesis, and it is very difficult as its conclusion. But then in the second statement, we have the video game is Dark Souls, and then its conclusion is that it's very difficult. So what we have is the same conclusion twice. It has to be one of each, a hypothesis and a conclusion. So we can't make any conclusions here. All right. So I hope that both of these make sense, because now we're going to do both together. Ha-ha! Now, for this one, we've got three statements. If you live in Accra, then you live in Ghana. If you live in Ghana, then you live in Africa. And Isa lives in Accra. What can we conclude from that? Well, here we've got live in Accra as our hypothesis, and live in Ghana as a conclusion. Then we have live in Ghana as a hypothesis, and live in Africa as a conclusion. Well, by the law of syllogism, as we just learned, we can cross out that live in Ghana part, creating just one statement that says, if you live in Africa, wait, that's backwards. If you live in Accra, then you live in Africa. Ghana is no longer mentioned, but we're not done, because we've also got this statement that says Isa lives in Accra, which means that by the law of detachment, that cancels out, and we can just create one statement that says Isa lives in Africa. So based on that, try number 2 here, which is about Jimmy the Lobster. Did you say that Jimmy is delicious? I hope so, because that's right, even though it sounds very silly. And I think you're ready to start the homework. So I'll see you